Talent Talk Tuesdays is all about harnessing your God-given talents to live with greater clarity, purpose, and joy. You are wonderfully made, my friends. May all we do be for God's glory. Hey everybody, this is Talent Talk Tuesdays, and I'm your host, Lisa Mladnick. I'm going to do things a little differently this week because I've been sick. But I want to tie together sort of the reason I'm not feeling well with a subject that I think is really important, and I'll probably talk about it more than once, and that's loneliness. I think we all experience it, and because of the lockdowns and everything we've been through, it's just gotten worse than ever, and we can see that around us. But this isn't a downer message at all. I just want to say that what I noticed is I went away on retreat for the weekend just before Mother's Day. And it had been so long since I'd done much traveling. I haven't done much since the lockdowns, that just being in the retreat center initially by myself was a shock to my system, to be out of my ordinary places, my familiar places. And I felt really bad. I was shocked at how much it felt like the first time I was ever away from home. And I was really worried about it. And it worked out really well. Everything was fine. A friend of mine joined me on the retreat that was planned. And once she was there, and once we were in the swing of the retreat, of course, all of those initial feelings melted away. Getting out of my comfort zone, being in this new place, engaging in a way that I hadn't in a long time became a really positive thing. But what I wanted to say about that is that notice how lonely you are, because we all experience this to some degree. It's actually pretty normal to have some loneliness in your life. God made us for himself, and our hearts are restless until we rest in him. We've heard this a million times, St. Augustine. And Mother Teresa talked about loneliness and feeling unwanted being the worst kind of poverty in the world. And she said the United States was, kind of one of the worst offenders for loneliness. And so it's really important for us to recognize that because of the way we're naturally wired by God, we have different social needs. And not all of them can obviously be met in the temporal realm. Some of it is that we've been made incomplete on purpose so that we will seek God, seek completion in him. And that should be number one, right? Start our days in prayer. Let him fill us. And through our natural talents and our understanding of how he has wonderfully made us, understand the best ways, as I've talked about already in a recent episode, for experiencing that intimacy with him. But I want to point out a couple things, and one is what I was just about to say, which is that depending on how you're wired, you're going to experience loneliness differently. You may experience loneliness in a crowd if you're an introvert. You may need more of a one-on-one experience or small groups. If you're more extroverted, you might really need the dinner parties and the social gatherings that are bigger, the ministry meetings and all those kind of getting out there and meeting new people and all of that. So just be aware that I'll just point out a couple things, and I'm being very kind of random and disorganized because I haven't been feeling well. I ate food that I shouldn't have on the retreat because they were supposed to have dietary special food for me, which they didn't. But it was the retreat center's difficulties, I guess. But anyway, the point is just that I'm really brain fogged. But there is something that I think is important here, and that is that only God completes us, and we each get our needs filled humanly in different ways, and other people can't intuit that. We have to figure it out, ask for it, and seek it, and not blame others for our loneliness. That's really important, because that just makes it worse, and it's living in an illusion, and the enemy loves that. And we also want to do what we can, right? To identify what really works for us and to do what we can to alleviate it. So I just want to encourage you today to think about texting that friend, getting together with somebody you miss, reconcile with somebody you may have hurt or had a misunderstanding with. This loneliness thing can be a tool of the enemy. But we want to eradicate like any kind of places in us where loneliness is chronic because of our unforgiveness, or because we're giving into fear, or we're just stuck in a bad habit, or we don't know ourselves well enough to move into that space of compassion for ourselves, which of course fills us with compassion for others when we're able to do that. We can be more merciful with others when we're merciful with ourselves. So do go to the Lord in the ways that are best for you, whether it's Lectio Divina or walking in the woods or your rosary or whatever it may be. Seek him out more and more. I've noticed, and I'm not the most organized person, that I get a lot more done each day when I spend more time in prayer. Now, I've heard that for years. The saints have said it. So many wise people have said the busier they are, the more they pray. I always just kind of imagined they were praying on the fly. And of course, we do that too. But get filled. Since I've started my third order Carmelite training, my formation, I guess you would call it, I'm doing the Liturgy of the Hours every day, and that filling up has been a game changer, and I'm watching God just change me for the better. So I'm a lot less lonely, and I'm able to give more, and I'm able to understand my own needs better in light of the way God pours into me. So notice your loneliness. Don't think of it as abnormal. Try not to blame others for it, and do your best way to just be vulnerable with God, to be real, to be your authentic self with him, warts and all. I'll tell you one more thing about my retreat experience. The wonderful priest from the UK who was doing the preaching here in New York, he said something about what it would be like to meet the self that you are, or have the self that you are meet the person you're supposed to be or you're meant to be. And my world kind of went, and so not long after that, that really kind of shook me up a little bit. I'm in line for Holy Communion, and the priest was extremely reverent, and there was just no doubt in his mind. You could see that this is God he had in his hand giving in Holy Communion. And so I was very much aware of that too. And as I'm moving forward in the line, feeling my brokenness, the thought occurred to me, because of all the time that I've been spending, and I'm not crediting myself, this is all grace, just in morning prayer for months now. The thought came to me, and it was kind of a rescue moment, and maybe it was a whisper from my guardian angel. I thought, yeah, that's the King of the universe there. That is my awesome God, and I am unworthy, and oh my goodness, who am I to come up and receive? But then that little gentle voice said, he knows me. He knows me. It's okay. He already knows me. We've been together. We're like this. Just those words, he knows me, were given to me. So he does know you, whether you come to him or not. But don't be lonely. Don't let that emptiness persist. Do what you can humanly. Do what you can in understanding your own needs. And come to the Lord to be filled in the ways that he is calling you and drawing you uniquely. Thanks for listening. I hope I wasn't too unclear in my slightly befuddled state today, but I appreciate your tuning in. I am really praying for you, and I thank you for so many nice comments I've had back, and encouragement, and people have been touched by these things. It's all God. You can see that I'm just in my own broken way, just showing up. And that's all we're asked to do. And he really does do the rest. So feel free to reach out to me at wonderfullymade139.com. And thanks again. God bless you.